Welcome to Biltong National Park. I've been wanting to waffle on about football to one or two people, however many choose to rock up. I'm sure for this first one, which I'm treating very much as a test, there is absolutely nobody watching, which takes the pressure off. But yeah, I used to write a sports column for a South African daily morning paper quite a few years ago, called "Did You See That?" And the name I gave for the lounge in which I watched it was a sport on TV column in which I watched the sport, mostly football, bit of rugby, bit of cricket, bit of golf, anything with a South African flavor, really, apart from the football, which was mostly about English Premier League. And I've got to warn you, Liverpool in particular was watched with friends over popcorn and Biltong, of course, and beer, in the lounge which I named Biltong National Park. So it seems like an obvious name for this podcast, which I've got absolutely no idea where it'll go. But one of my favorite sayings, and I forget who said it. I don't know why Martin Luther King jumps to mind, but he's more famous for his other speech, or his other speeches, as in "I have a dream." This one was, you don't need to know what's at the top of the ladder when you put your foot on the first rung. And I've very much lived my life like that. And only really got close to, yeah, I'm talking about myself, but just by way of introduction. Only really got close to the top of the ladder when I was working as a journalist, not a sports journalist. Ended up on political pages, can you believe? But working for the Guardian and the Telegraph in London, which seems like another lifetime. In fact, it was the late 80s through to 97. Yeah, that's right, 97, I came back to South Africa. So a lot has changed in football, in sport in general, in life in general, in my life, specifically to me. And I bring you this podcast in the midst of the COVID outbreak. But anyway, in less than an hour, in fact, in about 34 minutes, a football match will kick off, which will not involve Liverpool. I'm glad to say, because it's a championship playoff final. I don't really know why I've chosen this day to kick off Biltong National Park at the end of the season, but I do know, because I've been busy with my fine art photography. One of the ladders I've started to climb in a very happy way, in a very jaunty way, in a very quirky way, is fine art photography. I take abstract photographs, and most of them are taken through distorted glass or patterned glass, the kind of glass you find in bathrooms and toilets so that your neighbors can't see you in the shower or on the loo. I've found that if I bought the piece of glass and I don't have a piece to hand, right up to my camera or quite close to my camera or at an angle to the sunlight, I could photograph quite ordinary things, perhaps assembled. I work very much with color, and I could produce an abstract image which showed very little of the subject matter, but created, I don't want to get too poncy about it, but created an abstract image that was interesting and I ran a little art gallery here in Amanus up until lockdown, and what I love, one of the things I loved about running the gallery, I absolutely loved running the art gallery actually. Uh, and people would come in and look at my photographs and say, "Oh, I see so and so. I see that. I see that," and I had never seen that, and then I could see it. And yeah, I love abstraction. I love subversion, and perhaps this podcast will be nothing if not subverting the common narrative found by or formed by commentators and podcasters and pundits and everybody who comments on sport, and again, in particular, the English Premier League. I like the subversion of things, so perhaps this podcast will be a little bit subversive. And while I'm talking about that, I want to show you this. And I'll give you a bit of time to read it. If I have a personal manifesto, this is it, by courtesy of Bill Shankly. I bought this sweatshirt. About 30 years ago at a football merchandise fair on the South Bank in London when I was living there. And it's, given that I wear it for Liverpool games that I watch on TV now instead of live, it's holding up very well. And its message for me holds up. The socialism I believe in is everyone working for each other, everyone having a share of the rewards. It's the way I see football, the way I see life. So needless to say, I wasn't a fan of the, what did they call it? European Super League, ESL or something. That much to the shame of Liverpool supporters and also for the other 5 clubs that were in the so-called top 6, joined with Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, and the 2 Milan clubs. And PSG had their own reasons for not getting involved, which had nothing to do with money, as far as I can tell. Otherwise, they were all in to steal our game. But that's been talked about a lot. I don't have much to add to that. Thank God it didn't happen. And well done to all the fans of all the clubs. That includes Chelsea, Manchester City, who are playing later this evening in the Champions League final, which I'm going to watch, of course. But I'm a bit envious. Well, yeah, we all know what Liverpool's season what happened during the season, so I don't need to rake over old coals, but thank goodness we squeezed into the Champions League for next season. I'm very happy about that. We salvaged the season a bit. Anyway, in 29 minutes' time, because I've been wittering on about other things, we're going to have Brentford playing Swansea in the Championship playoff final, which I'm going to watch. I've still got to work out a way if I can sort of do this podcast sort of semi-commenting on games live. And given that I watch my sport on my laptop and not a television set, because I live in a small room in a house with other people, so this is my private space. So yeah, mine is very much not quite a riches to rags story, but let's say I'm starting again. Let's just leave it there. So yeah, this is, I think I said in the intro to the description to this podcast that you might find it wandering into strange places. I'm a bit of a psychic bloke, seriously. And I can't tell you how many times, remembering when I was with my girlfriend, we've split up now, but I'd be about to watch a game or watching a game, and I'd say, so-and-so is going to score in this game. And I fancy Wolves to beat Aston Villa 3-1 before the game had started, and it would happen. And I used to joke, thank goodness we live in a little Overberg village in South Africa with no betting shop within miles, because I'd be down there putting my money on, and she'd say, I wish you bloody would. You'd be a bit better off than you are. And I've not been a betting man, but I do get feelings. So I'm going to stick my neck out. Brentford Swansea, it's going to be a nail biter. Well, that's hardly sticking my neck out. I think it's £160 million is at stake in this game. Whoever wins this and gets promoted to the Premier League, along with Norwich and Watford, stand to gain £160 million. I think that includes parachute payments if they get relegated. That's a hell of a lot of money by any club standards. So a lot riding on it. So I think it's going to be a bit cagey. But I fancy Brentford to shade it. And there's a bit of sentimental, not that I've got anything against Swansea. I've got no skin in this game, and I've got no skin in the Chelsea-Manchester City Champions League final. I don't have strong feelings about Brentford or Swansea, whereas my strong feelings about Chelsea and Manchester City are somewhat a bit more tribal, although I'm a lot less tribal than I used to be when I ran around stadiums in the late 80s, being chased by Leeds United supporters and Millwall and God knows what else, but that's for another day. Anyway, so yeah, 4 o'clock South African time, 25 minutes time, that's going to kick off. And after a long and, well, actually truncated and strange season, and it was certainly strange for Liverpool, without going into all the sordid details about injury crises and defenders, every defender getting cut down. Yeah, I'm thrilled that we've signed Ibrahima Konate. I watched a bit of a showreel on YouTube for him yesterday, and I think Liverpool are getting a guy who's already realised some of his potential, but I think Jurgen Klopp will bring out a lot more. But he's certainly athletic, quick over the ground. He seems to have telescopic legs like Fabinho, where he just puts his leg in and comes out with the ball into attack, puts his leg into a tackle and 90% of the time comes out with the ball. So I think he's potentially a great partner for Virgil van Dijk. So that's wonderful. Anyway, playoff final happening in 24 minutes time at Wembley Stadium. I was just looking at Sky Sports a bit earlier, and they were interviewing their reporter on Wembley Way, and I was remembering the last time I went to Wembley, which I think was for the Liverpool-Wimbledon FA Cup final, which we famously lost 1-0 to Wimbledon. And the stadium's been rebuilt, but the whole environment is unrecognizable. I remember getting out of Wembley Park Tube Station and walking up past terraced houses on the road up to the old stadium with the Twin Towers and so on, and now it's all sort of plush office blocks lining what looks like a concreted, path. The path doesn't do it justice, but wide route going up to the new stadium, which is obviously very modern, and I've never been to it, and I don't know if I ever will. But I'll certainly be watching with great interest as Brentford beat Swansea 1-0 after 90 minutes, I think. I don't think this one will go to extra time and penalties. One last thing. I just talked about the Super League breakaway. Farrago. Okay, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm not meant to have any good feelings about Manchester United or want them to do well. But Villarreal beating Manchester United, albeit after a ridiculous, unbelievable penalty shootout that went to 21, but it finished 11-10, didn't it? De Gea's penalty was saved. Villarreal winning the Europa League final, beating Manchester United, one of the richest, or second richest, after Real Madrid, I think, club in the world. It tells you all you need to know about the football pyramid and the value of achieving promotion, winning trophies on merit, and fighting your way up the football pyramid, as many clubs have done, and then fallen down again and then started again. But I don't need to sermonize about this. If I am, I'm preaching to the converted. Anyway, that's enough for, I think, a first podcast. It's going to be very interesting. I'm certainly going to find it interesting, and maybe I'll even have a viewer or two. I'm just looking up next to it. Looks like I might have a viewer. I don't know how that's possible. I haven't put it out on social media or told anybody about it, but somebody stumbled across it. Hello, a viewer, an other viewer. Thanks for joining in, if you are really there. Okay, that's enough for today. A prediction for the Champions League final. Manchester City have never won the European Cup or Champions League, and I don't think although they have the better squad and they have a brilliant manager, I have to say, I've got a feeling Chelsea are going to nick it. I'll leave it there. Ta-ra.